All right, let's continue with our Revelation study and let's get into the seven trumpets and think about these in two, maybe three ways. The first way is let's look at like the first trumpet and line it up with the first seal and so on with the second, third with the third, and what have you, to see if there's any connection so that this is happening at the same time. This is a retelling of what was already said. But we can also look at it as okay, let's look at the seven seals as, let's say, the first half of the tribulation, and then let's apply this to something like the second half of the tribulation. Let's see if that fits. But the one thing I would say about those who were believing that this right here is a rapture, where there's a great multitude in heaven after the sixth seal, well, what about the last trump? I know a lot of them would say the last trumpet, so we haven't even got to the trumpets yet. We haven't even done the first one, and the rapture happened, but you're post-tribulation, pre-wrath. This just doesn't add up in any way. There's nothing here to say that this is a rapture, other than a preconceived belief. So let's get into this here. It says at verse 6 of Revelation chapter 8, "And the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. And they were cast upon the earth, and a third part of the trees was burnt up, and all grass was burnt up." Whew. Excuse me. Now, at first glance, there's nothing really to connect this with the first seal, right? The first seal, you have the first beast coming to John saying that there's a white horse rider and he's got a crown given to him and a bow with no arrows going out to conquer and to conquer, right? This is hail coming down, fire mingled with blood to burn up a third part of the trees, right? Well, what if this was exactly what I was talking about happening at the first seal? Is that there's peace and safety, like in the days of Noah and the days of Lot. But then, when they say peace and safety, we're taken out of the way, right? Enoch's taken up, Lot's taken out of Sodom and Gomorrah. Hell comes down, right? Metaphorically speaking. What if that is the sudden destruction? We got the war going on with, I guess, Gog and Magog with Russia there. Russia, Turkey, Iran, and Syria. I think one or two others going against Israel. And of course, they'd have to take out America, right? So what if this hail mingled with fire is actually nuclear bombs? Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed, aka America. We're taken out of the way. Sudden destruction comes upon them. Hail and fire with these nuclear weapons. Third part of the trees are burned up with all the green grass. So it's like scorched earth. Could be nuclear weapon, right? Don't know. Could be, maybe, or it's actually something coming from God, like a Sodom and Gomorrah thing. And that's where the Antichrist comes in. And just had a good thunder go on right now. I don't know if you could hear it. So imagine you might get a little storm. Should be fun. And power might go out. Hopefully not. But yeah, let's continue with this. Sorry for that little distraction. But we could see that this possibly could go with the first seal. It's not like a boom, perfect match going on. Yeah, I'm just going to give it a possibility. But again, this could be something that happens, let's say, after halfway through. What if this is when the Antichrist finally goes into the temple claiming to be God? Then this happens. The first angel blows the trumpet, and this happens. Maybe. Never know. Let's go to the second one. Then again, I forgot there's a third way. Like you could apply this like this is happening also before the Antichrist really reveals himself. Could be. Like you get the seven seals, the seven trumpets, then the Antichrist reveals himself. Yeah, I don't see how you could fit it that way, but maybe, right? Matter of fact, you can even tie the mark of the beast into the first seal where he's going to conquer with a bow without arrows because he can conquer with the mark of the beast, saying, hey, we all join together, we got the mark of the beast, we can track those, so you worried about anybody else getting raptured, disappearing, such as the children, we can track them, that you can buy and sell, you can have the food and water, clothing and shelter you need. So he's conquering with a bow with no arrows, right? And with flatteries. It can fit. Not saying it's how it is. Let's look at the second angel. It says, and the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. All right, now we're getting the rain to come down. It's nice. Finally get some rain down here. But anyway, how does this play into the second seal? No, that's actually kind of tough, right? The second seal is a rider on a red horse, and he has a great sword to take peace from the earth. And I could argue that this great mountain, right, is actually a nation. And with this destruction here that just happened at the first sounding of the trumpet from the first angel, could be considered America, a great mountain, burning with fire, is cast into the sea, cast into the people. And that's what we're actually going to read. If you go to Daniel, you can see that God's kingdom is as a mountain when he destroys the statue. And the sea, as we read Revelation 17:18, where it talks about the woman being I don't remember if it's out of the sea or the beast out of the sea is the beast out of the people, that the sea mentions is multitudes of different people. And a third part of the sea became blood, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. The third part of the ships were destroyed. This could represent America being destroyed right there. Not saying it is, I mean, it could fit tied into following along with what's going on here. It gets nuked. It's destroyed. That might be a third part of the ships of the earth right there, with America's navy and ships that ship ships and whatever else all over the world and to America. And that could have an effect on the sea, because I imagine where America gets nuked is on the coast. And who knows, that those nukes could actually set off, Yosemite there? That great volcano that looks like it's ready to go. They hit that with some nukes, and all of a sudden, bye-bye America, right? It looks like a flaming mountain going into the ocean, right? It kind of fits. Now I'm thinking about it, starting to make a little bit of sense. Now, what would this mean if it was happening after the Antichrist reveals himself as God. So if this is the second part of the tribulation going on, I am not sure. A great mountain. I would think of something going on the coast, some mountain or mountain range on the coast somewhere that goes into the ocean because it's volcanic and it causes some tidal waves and destroys a whole lot of stuff. That also seems to fit. So let's move on to the third angel sounding his trumpet here. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon a third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. The third part of the water became wormwood. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Oh wow, the rain's coming down a lot harder. That's awesome. Okay, so third angel. What was the third seal again? Where's chapter 6? The third is famine. Well, that actually matches up pretty well, because if the fresh water is destroyed, how are you going to grow anything? Alright? I mean, that's going to be difficult. So those two can actually be intertwined. This could actually be a retelling. I'm starting to lean towards that as I'm going through it. Alright? Could actually be. Another thing I would say is like a great star. The way you're thinking is like a star, a burning gaseous substance that's bigger than the earth came falling down. That's just how you see a star. That's not actually what the stars are, and I guess that's for another video. But anyway, let's continue on here to the fourth angel sounding. The fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So it sounds like a whole lot of darkness. So the days were only 2/3 as long as they are. So let's say you used to the sun being out from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. That's 12 hours. So you divide that by 4 hours apiece. That's take off 4 hours from that. So the sun come up at 6 and go down at 2. And at night with the moon and the stars, you get some light, but then there's time where there's no light even coming from them. So it's going to be really dark. That would be creepy. That could represent some death that we read from the fourth seal, right? The fourth seal is the pale horse with the death rider on it, killing people with death. And during this time, you imagine the animals are attacking people. This actually fits. I think this might actually be a retelling of the seven seals. Could actually be, because think about what we read about the sixth seal, the sun and the moon darkened to become his blood, right? Well, if that's already happened, then what's the point of them just shining? Ooh, that was a loud one. What's the part of the sun only shining for 2/3 of the day if it's already turned to darkness? So this is seeming to fit a retelling of the actual seals. Alright, so after the fourth seal, we get this other little message here. At verse 13 it says, "And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound." So here we have a little break between the fourth angel and the last three to use their trumpets. So that would mean there would be a break between this fourth seal and the fifth, sixth, and seventh, right? So it would be right here where there's a break and there's an angel saying, "Whoa." And wouldn't that be making sense that he's saying "whoa" right before there's a bunch of martyrs? Right? So, whoops. Let's continue on. We're going to jump to 9 now. All right. Here we are. Verse 1 of Revelation chapter 9. It says, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven onto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit." So we see a star fall, and it's a him, and has the key. So we see there's something a little weird about that, right? But anyway, it goes on to say, "And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads." So not the 144,000. "And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when it striketh a man. And in all days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them." This is still part of the fifth seal, so I will read these last little sections here. It says, "And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates, and as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and they were stings in their tails, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon, and that means destroyer, which is interesting because it actually kind of ties to CERN. They actually have, what is it, Shiva the destroyer? Kind of interesting stuff with that, but anyway, it says here, "Woe, one woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter." So, let's see if this can fit with the actual fifth seal here. And this is right where people are getting martyred, right? It's talking about a lot of martyrs, or at least they're showing up in heaven, right? So when we come over here, we can see that they're not to touch the 144,000. So they have been sealed. But it seems as though they're not sealed until after the 6th seal. So we need to figure out how that all fits together, right? It seems like the puzzle don't come together. Because it was kind of making sense that with all the martyring people have been doing, God lets loose the destroyer to torment people. Now, I am not sure what is going on with this. I think something physical happens where the darkness goes up, like some kind of explosion. Something goes up, like it says a furnace, some kind of smoke comes up. Maybe it has something to do with CERN. Not sure. Can't say for certain. But something like that I think happens physically. But these things that are going out, I am not sure if this is physical or spiritual. Like if these things are like the beasts that are seen in heaven, that are spiritual beings. If that's what's going on, is these things going on, like people who are tormented by demons right now. That's not something you see. You can see the effects. Like I think people who suffer with something like schizophrenia, Tourette's, other such things, could potentially actually just be demons. And they need actually an exorcism, right? So this could be the same thing. There's these demons going out, and they're tormenting men. They're not to kill them, but to torment them, where they actually seek death and can't actually die. Right? So it may actually torment them to the point where if these people even wanted to hang themselves, shoot themselves, these things wouldn't actually let them. Right? You either cripple them, cut the rope, knock the gun out of their hand, or whatever it is, right? Something keeps happening to them where they can't die. But it also may have to do with the mark of the beast. A lot of people think that the mark of the beast has to do with some kind of nanotechnology, which would just keep healing your body. And if you shot yourself in the head, it would just put it back together. Right? I don't know how it would apparently jumpstart your heart and do all this stuff that would bring you back to life. Seems a bit crazy, yeah, but who knows? That could be what's going on. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to talk about here, but it's kind of interesting right here because it says neither they shouldn't hit the grass or anything, right? And that's kind of similar to what we were reading here about the angels letting go the four winds and not to hurt the earth, the seed, or the trees, or what have you. It's similar to what's being said to them, right? They got to seal the servants of God on their forehead. And it's from these 144,000 from the children of Israel. And this is going on after the sixth seal. And then we have over here that at the fifth trumpet, if this is at the fifth seal, they're not to be hurting the 144,000 as if they're already sealed. Right? So maybe this is not lining up, seal to trumpet, trumpet to seal. It's not a retelling. Maybe not, right? This makes it look like it's not. So this could be something that's going on at the second half of the tribulation. But let's say that's the case. Let's say the seals are the first half and the trumpets are the second half, right? If that is the case, we got an issue with the people who would say that this here is the rapture, because some of these people were saying that this is the rapture, and they believe that it's post-tribulation, pre-wrath. So they would have to think that they're raptured here, and that the trumpets that we've been reading is the wrath of God. And it might actually give something to that right here. Thought there might have been something. But no, it's actually right here at the sixth seal. It actually says something about the wrath of God, doesn't it? Ah, I must have been mistaken. Unless I'm just missing it. But anyway, this makes this, if this is a rapture, makes it very confusing. Because this is supposed to be at the end of the tribulation, so the rest of what we read is the wrath of God. We're like, okay, we can look at that a little bit. Let's say that fits. These things could happen after all of that. Like, so let's take it from the mindset that there's no more people God's people on the earth anymore if there is only the 144,000? What is it they're doing now? What is the 144,000 doing here? They're still here, not being harmed by what's going on. What is the point of them doing what they're doing if everybody has been raptured and this is the wrath of God? Why are they here dealing with the wrath of God? That's something to take into consideration here, because they are sealed to actually preach to the world. But if this is the wrath of God, is there really any hope? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly their mindset on this, so I'm kind of interested in what they have to say about that. Let's come down to the sixth trumpet, and it says here at 9:13, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. And these three was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths, for their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For the tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornications, nor of their thefts. Whoa. All right. This could tie to the sixth seal, because with this great earthquake, this could have something to do with the drying up the Euphrates and the four angels being set free. Maybe. Can't say for sure. Can't say for certain, but it could be. And at this time, a lot of trouble's going on, and Israel might be being blessed at this time. So they would be motivated, if they have that large of an army, to go across after Israel to get the food and resources Israel's blessed with, because they are suffering. And they're probably hungry. 200 million man army. That would be a tough upkeep right there. So let's see what happens after the sixth trumpet. I would imagine if it lines up, we would have a break like we see here between the sixth and seventh seal. Well, let's see. I thought there was one other thing it was saying about those that were sealed, but I can't remember what it was. I guess it slipped my mind. It's something that I thought about. Let's go over to Revelation 10, and we actually do have a little break. That's interesting. I'm actually going to take a break myself. Get some water, think about some things, walk around, and then I will get to this sometime after that. So thanks for watching. Take care. Keep an eye out for the next one.